Okay, so we are discussing about nectar instruction, and as the name suggests, it is the nectar of all instructions. Nectar means essence. And you all have read that book, isn't it? Everybody has read that book, definitely. So that is special. This book is special because of some reasons. I don't know whether you know or not, but first thing is, this is the smallest book I have seen in the history. There is no other book only with 11 verses. I have not seen this, seriously. No author has printed a book with 11 verses. Nobody. No Vaishnava Sampradaya, and materialistic forget it. So, except if you go to Chinese tradition, there's a system of writing book in Chinese tradition where you have one verse or one line on one page. What's that system called? Sauki, some system is there. So they write a book where there is a one line on one page, and the next page you have one line. There's a system. You have seen that kind of books? It's like there. So except those kind of books, there's no book like this. So why it is such a small book? That's one question. If Rupa Goswami had to write the essence of all instructions, it should be little bit elaborately explained. It should not be left unexplained. But nevertheless, Rupa Goswami, he read all the books and he wanted to give the most important instructions, in the sense he wanted to, when I'll explain, I'll tell you. He wanted to inform us and also warn us about what we have to do right thing and what mistakes we are going to do. That's why this book is very important, because obviously when we are doing, especially for devotees, when we are doing devotion, there are some things which we are doing because of which we are not advancing, and they are very subtle points which has to be put forth in some language, in some words, and that Rupa Goswami has done in this book. So this book gives instructions and also warns us of some pitfalls where we are going to fall. But for that you have to read these verses carefully. So this is a book on which Bhaktivedanta Thakur has written a commentary, by the way. He has written a commentary. He has written commentary in form of songs. And Bhakti Siddhanta has also written a Vivriti. Vivriti means what? Explanation? Explanation. And of course Prabhupada has a commentary on nectar instruction. So, how many verses are there in this book? 11. That's all. And what is this book talking about, by the way? What these instructions are about? There's so many things to discuss. Just like Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says to Sanatana Goswami. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says to Sanatana Goswami, Krishna Tattva, Bhakti Tattva, Leela Tattva are. Bhav Tattva, Ras Tattva, Prem Tattva Sar. Mahaprabhu says there are 6 subjects which we can talk about. That is about Krishna, Bhakti, and Leela, his pastimes. Then Bhava, emotions, Ras, that is mellows, and love of God. There's so many things. But this book is specifically talking about Abhidhaya, the process of devotion. It's not talking about our relationship with God. It's not talking about the goal of devotion. It focuses on the process, because that is what we are doing, and that is where we'll do something wrong. And that is what we'll not be able to figure out if we are not practicing properly. And that's what we want to know, isn't it? How to advance. So how to advance means what? So right process. So it's talking about process. But then when you're talking about process of bhakti, there's so many other sub-fields. So the first verse is talking about general instructions about how to do devotion. The question which is dealing is how to do devotion. That's the question this book is dealing with. How to do devotion. So the first verse is giving us the instructions, the general instructions in devotion. So I'm giving you a layout, just a small layout. The second and third verse is giving you some kind of advice which will help you to do devotion nicely. How to do devotion, okay. How to increase our devotion, okay. That's the second, third verse. The fourth verse is talking about, okay, how to do devotion. Devotion means devotees. So you should know how to deal with devotees. So that's the fourth verse talking about the dati, pratigrinati. You see that verse? And from fifth to, to eighth verse, this book is talking, okay, now let's come to the point, exactly what you have to do. What you're supposed to do here. Now, what you're supposed to do. Preaching, book distribution, prasadam, chanting, what you have to do. On what you have to focus. What's the prime focus of our devotion. And the 9th and 10th verse is talking about Srimati Radharani, who is the authority of devotion, from whom we should learn how to do devotion. Radha. So you see, this book is talking about how to do devotion and then various aspects of it. 1st through 11th verse. So what's the first verse? Anybody can tell me? It's a simple thing. Simple. Anybody can tell?
It gives instructions about how to do it.
But get the verse.
Yeah. What's the first verse?
Vacho
You're seeing it. Vacho begam manasa, krodha begam, jiva begam, kudrapatsa begam, vishaheta dhira, sarvam vivipam, prithvim sashishyat. That's how it goes. Famous verse. But very deep verse, very important verse. And what's the point there? Now, you see, what you know, I'm not going to talk about that. Because you know. I'm going to talk what you don't know. Otherwise, it's just waste of my time and waste of your time. So, what you don't know. Tell me what you don't know. That's a tautological question. So, I'll tell you what you don't know. See? I know what you don't know. You yourself don't know what you don't know. So, okay, the usual meaning of this verse is, as you all know, you should control your tongue, you should control your mind, and blah blah blah, whatever these things. And if you can control all these things, then you become Goswami. Prabhupada says, if you become Goswamis, then you can make disciples all around the world, and it's done. Okay, good. But the question is, the word used here is vegan. Again, no? And Prabhupada translates vegan as what? What's the meaning of this word vegan? Urges, yeah. So, Rupa Goswami suggests, okay, you should control the urges of tongue, urges of mind, urges of belly, urges of genitals, urges of anger and emotions, urges of emotions, and that's it. But you know what? Veg is divided into two parts according to scriptures. There is something called dharniya veg and something called adharniya veg. Or in other words, some urges you have to control, some urges you should not control. That you should know. Otherwise you'll mess up devotion. Now you see, now when we talk about urges of mind, there are some urges you should control, some urges you should not control. Because what is the main instruction in devotion? What's the main instruction in devotion? What is the main verse of all verses in rules and regulations? What's that? When you talk about rules and regulations, what's the first verse you want to quote? No, not here. That's okay, but not now. What is? She said that just now. When you suppose, if I ask you what are the rules and regulations of devotion, give a class. So you should start the class with that verse. And then you go forward. Rupa Goswami does, Prabhupada does, Nectar of Devotion, that's a verse. And you might be knowing, but you should know at the proper time. That's the idea. No. It's okay, I'll give you a hint. It's not from Gita. It's from Nectar of Devotion. Yeah, now you can tell. No. Satatam. It's not from Gita, bhai. Satatam smartavyo Vishnu vismartavyo na jatu chet sarve vidhi nishetasyor eta ever kinkaraha sarve vidhi nishetasyor. All rules, regulations are subservient to this one main rule and regulation, that is always remember Krishna and never to forget him. है ना, यही है ना. So always remember Krishna, you have to do some things. Never forget Krishna, you don't do some things. That's very important. Both things are important. So that's the same thing here. When you talk about urges, you have to control some urges and you don't have to control some urges. Okay, now let me ask you a question. Which urges you should not control?
If you want to chant, don't control it. You can't.
Yeah, okay, fine. I mean to say that's the right answer, but
Breathing.
But I want a very general answer. Okay, fine. Okay, fine. Yeah, no. Don't connect to devotion now. I'm asking a very neutral question. Which urges you should control, which urges you should not control? It's a very neutral question.
It's favorable for.
Don't connect to devotion. I'm just talking on urges. I'm not talking of devotion. My subject is vague. And if you try to talk something else, then the subject becomes vague. V-A-G-U-E. So I'm talking about
Breathing, or just to breathe, or just to eat.
Sense.
Like breathing, don't control that.
Okay. There are some, so the urges which you don't control, those are called as adharni urges. Dharni means control, adharni means don't control, otherwise you will harm your health. For example, urge to breathe, you die. Or urge to defecate, pass urine, you don't stop that, otherwise your health spoils, no? So children do that. small babies. It's a common problem in pediatrics. Babies stop their stool and urine. I don't know what they're thinking, but they do that. And then it happens, babies. It happens like that. So they land into problems, health problems. Or maybe you're in a meeting and you're just stopping and you can't leave. Urge to yawn, you should not control. That leads to a lot of problems, health problems. And urge to burp,
Sneeze.
urge to sneeze. All these urges you should not control. But why it is there? But in corporate life, you're always controlling all these urges. And people get sick. Actually, by the way, Radhagovind Maharaj, he got sick, no? Brain hemorrhage, he got sick. Because of this. He told, we were there. Like when Maharaj had an first attack, my friend was there. He's a doctor. And then I was there after some time. I'm a doctor, so they called me. And then Maharaj was saying, you know what, you're always preaching, you're with people and you can't yawn, you can't sneeze. Like fully like, khul ke kaise kehte hain? How do you say that? Khul ke kya kahenge English mein?
Open, everything in public.
No.
Comfortably.
Yeah. Comfortably you can't. Even if you have to yawn, you have to be like this and like suppress it. Okay, ho gaya. So he says, because of that, I got a lot of stress. My health got spoiled really.
And also
Urge to sleep. Now, urge to sleep is a tricky question, but I'll bring it later. These urges you should never control. Okay.
Shut the eye.
Shut the eye.
Like
Blink.
blinking. Like you stare.
What? That nobody even wants to control that. Like that you can say urge to smile. And then anything can come. Anyway, you see. Okay, so the point is, this you should not control. Some urges you should control always. Always. Like And that's what basically Rupa Goswami is talking about. But then there's some things in between that we have to discuss, and that's where this verse is important. Some urges you should always control. What's that? For example? Simple, that's simple. Simple. Urges of mind, greed, anger, lust, envy. This always has to be controlled. Always means always. That always you have to control. But the problem comes when you talk about urge to sleep. Jiva udrapasthage vegam. Urge of stomach. What's the urge of stomach? Hunger. What's the urge of mind? One of the urges is sleeping. Okay? And then jiva vegam. What's the urge of jiva? To talk and to eat. Eat. Thirst also comes in that. So should we control them or not? Tell me. Should we control the urge to sleep, urge for hunger, urge for thirst? Rupa Goswami is talking about that. So,
Regulate them rather than stopping them.
How to do that?
That's what
Only eat and only eat
How
at
to do
certain
it?
times. Only sleep for this many hours at this time of day.
Discipline?
Yeah.
Okay. But there's a problem. Prabhupada, if you read the verse 6th chapter Bhagavad Gita, there's a verse yuktahar viharasya. We were talking. You know that verse, no? Everybody? Everybody knows? Yuktahar viharasya. That you should discipline your eating, sleeping and all these things. And Prabhupada writes in the purport, by the way, if you read the purport, Prabhupada doesn't talk about discipline. No chance. Prabhupada says, Krishna is saying you should reduce your eating and sleeping, just like Goswamis were sleeping for 2 hours. In fact, if you read Madhva's commentary on that, the verse says you should discipline. Prabhupada says, no, regulate eating, sleeping and recreation. In that verse, Prabhupada doesn't say that. Madhva, he writes, this verse is for weak people, important people, people who don't have courage, who are lazy. So Krishna is speaking for them, just to encourage them a little. But Krishna doesn't intend that. Because these acharyas, they can go in the mind of God and then understand. Just like we have another verse where Krishna says, don't preach to, non-devotees, isn't it? And then Prabhupada writes a commentary, no, actually Krishna doesn't mean that. Krishna actually means you preach to, but devotees are supposed to preach to other non-devotees. Krishna says no problem, but we will, because devotees are more merciful. So what, you contradict Krishna, but actually you're contradicting Krishna. But then we understand why, because acharyas understand the intent of the person. It's like that, sometimes person speaks something but his intent is very different. And that always, between husband and wife, that always happens. So you can understand what wife is saying something but she doesn't really mean that. Husband is saying something but then you have to understand, you have to go inside the mind and understand actually what that person means. So that's why Prabhupada says, so then how do you understand that? And Prabhupada is saying, Prabhupada has said all over his commentaries, once your eating and sleeping reduces, that's a sign of advancement. Have you read that? Always in his letters, in his conversations, Prabhupada always told his devotees in his letters, reduce your sleeping, reduce your eating. Why are you wasting time? So how to do that? How to? But then, should we control the urge to sleep or eat? If you say it's discipline, then you are sleeping at a particular time, getting at a particular time, then how do you reduce it? And how much you should reduce? You see, there's a big questions like, where should we draw the line? How do we do? And how do we know that I have reduced and this much I have to continue? What's the problem? Now, how do you do that? That verse is talking about this. So, although it's talking about controlling the urges of hunger, of thirst, of sleeping, but how do you do that? What's the meaning of that? So, what's the answer? You understand the confusion, no? This is a confusion. That's why people read this, but people don't do anything about this verse. What do you do for this? Controlling the urges of mind, that's understandable. Mind has lust, envy, anger, greed. It's clear. So in this seminar, I am not going to talk what you know. That's the first statement. So don't expect that I'm going to talk that. No, I'm not. Do you read that? Finish. So tell me the answer of this. What's the answer? Otherwise, that's why, devotees keep on going, life is going, sleeping, eating. Okay, fine. And then devotion is going on. Okay, but then, and that's why we don't feel we are advancing. Because everything happening the same, no? So, it's going. Some people can't even realize that they're not advancing. It's just some festival, some enjoyment. That's okay. That's also required. Festival, enjoyments, to be together. But there's another part of our life. That's our real advancement of soul. And you can't advance unless you conquer this eating and sleeping and thirst. It's a waste of time. That's all. You're just keeping on some material stuff in your mouth and in your body. And what's happening? Are we born for this? This is crazy. Eating is a crazy thing we are doing, isn't it? It doesn't make any sense, by the way. By the way, if you think about it, it doesn't make any sense. It's useless. You're taking another matter and putting inside your body. So why should I put anything in my body?
The body needs something to work, stand.
Yeah, it needs. That's what I'm saying. We are stuck up in this. So that's why we have to reduce this. It's not. We don't have to do anything with this material body. No? So what do you do? Now tell me. Huh? Okay. That's the usual answer, but forget it. Taking prasadam is okay, but taking prasadam taking prasadam is okay, but क्या कहते हैं उसको? Devouring prasadam is not okay. Devouring, yeah. Bhaktivedanta used to say, devotees do not eat prasadam. Prasadam eats them. He used to always say, he used to come and he used to say, what are you doing? We are not born to eat prasadam, that's the idea. Prasadam is a way to get mercy of Lord. It's nothing to do with food. That's a side effect. Krishna mercifully gives us something so that also we can also maintain our body. But prasadam has nothing to do with body, it's to do with soul. If you think it's to do with body, you're confused. You're totally off. First thing prasadam has to do is with soul. Second thing is to do with body.
Sometimes for sick people they'll give tirtha prasadam first, so they can get rid of the bodily illness.
Oh yeah, they do in South India. I mean, that's not Gaudiya Vaishnavism. That's Karma Kanda. We don't believe in that. Okay, so what do you do? I'll tell you what you do now. You see, you have to reduce sleeping, hunger and thirst. That's no question of it. You have to control the urges of stomach. It's clear you have to control the urges of tongue. It's clear, Rupa Goswami says. Now, how to do this is, there's a instruction in scriptures what to do. If you control sleeping, eating and thirst more, excess, you become sick. You will become sick. You can't control it. If you don't have enough spiritual power, if you don't have a strong body, you'll not be able to do it. Because if you control sleep more than what you can handle, then there are problems, physical problems. So that the rule is how much you should control. You should control to the point where you don't have physical symptoms and problems. So then you have to know what are the physical symptoms of controlling these urges. If you do in excess, isn't it? We have to draw a line. We should not go excess. So tell me, if you control your sleep, if you suppress your sleep so much, so what are the physical symptoms of that? How do you know that, suppose now, fine, Prabhupada says control sleep and you have started controlling sleep, and then how do you know how much should I control? Rupa Goswami says, how much should I not at this point of time? What are the symptoms will come?
You're tired next day, you're tired.
Okay, one thing is tired, body aches. Body aches is a definite symptom.
Mood changes to
Frustration,
angry.
heaviness in mind and eyes. You see, these are definite symptoms, and by that you can know that actually I'm doing something excess. So until and unless you don't get that symptoms, just reduce sleep, that's all. As much as you can. Bas. Otherwise you're sleeping extra. You're not actually controlling the urges of mind and body. Oh, what about thirst? If you control your thirst much, what happens? What are the symptoms? No, symptoms.
Dryness.
Dehydration is dryness of
Cannot focus.
Dryness and mouth, basically.
dryness of mouth.
Skin becomes dry, so extreme.
You can also note by urine becomes yellow.
Yes.
If you all know. So by that you can know that actually you are doing something. What about urge of hunger? What's excess controlling of hunger?
Start reducing the weight.
Anger.
First is weakness. Weakness of body. So how much to control? Observe the symptoms. If you don't get, just reduce it. Because for different people it's different. That's why you have to note the symptoms. We cannot say you sleep 5 hours and that is it. You can't say that. Some people can sleep 4 hours and be perfectly healthy. Some people can do that. Indira Gandhi used to sleep 2 hours. So if you read a biography, Karl Marx used to sleep 1 hour. Napoleon used to sleep on his horse. He never slept. They used to travel, sleep on the horse and war again. So these people had that capacity to do that. Hitler used to sleep very less. And they didn't have those kind of symptoms. Okay. By practice maybe or whatever, by their passion to do something. You see that also, overcomes the symptoms and they did something. By practice you can do. Prabhupada says, by practice you can reduce. Prabhupada reduced. They asked Prabhupada, how did you control the urges? Prabhupada quoted this verse, Vacho Vegam Mansa Krodha Vegam, in a morning walk. And then they asked Prabhupada how. Prabhupada says, practice. Practice. If you don't practice, you don't reduce eating, sleeping. It will never happen. It will never happen. And that is why this verse is there, control urges. But then if you start doing excess, then you fall sick. And then you become, what's happening, then you come back again to your own original thing. So you figure out yourself. Nobody can tell you. You figure out yourself how to do these things. For me, for example, I can sleep 4 hours and keep on going, no problem. I have a practice. Because medicine you have to read a lot. MBBS. So you're reading whole night and this. So you get some practice. I can do that. I can not sleep for 2 days and okay, I'm fine. Little memory loss, but it keeps on going. So you have to practice slowly and slowly reduce. You have to engage minimum with this material world. Although we engage everything in material world in service of God, but the point is, it's a risky situation because once you come in contact with matter, nobody can tell anything. When either you will engage in service of Krishna or they will engage in their service. It's very risky business. So that's why it is said, minimum with this material world. Come in contact, minimum. That's all. So you see how it can be done. So you understand, no? Controlling the urges of jivaha. So controlling the urges. Now I've talked about urges, isn't it? Now you understand. Urge of hunger, thirst and sleep. Okay, Rupa Goswami says, Vacho Vegam. Okay, so what do you mean by Vacho Vegam? Let's discuss one by one now. What do you mean by Vacho Vegam? Vacho means basically speech. To control the urges of speech. Now, what do you mean by this in context of devotees?
Unnecessary talk.
Okay, in context of devotees, gossip. Okay. Control the urges of speech. One thing is gossip, of course. Prajalpa? Yeah, unnecessary. So what do you mean by that? What do you mean by gossip and unnecessary talk? What do you mean by that? Because some devotee might think it's not gossip. It's necessary. Why you are saying I'm doing prajalpa?
Wasting time with things while talking without Krishna being in center.
Well, I mean, okay, but the practical point is, some devotee might think, you might say you are doing prajalpa, but he says, I'm not doing. Krishna is the center for me, indirectly. It happens, no? He's talking, and then you say, Prabhu, what you are talking? He says, well, I'm talking sense. If you can't understand, what can I do? It happens so many times. So you know what? It happened in Juhu. I think, who was that? Satyapada Prabhu or somebody? Rasraj Prabhu. He was giving a lecture on science. So he talked about, all this neutron, protons, electrons, quantums and all this. And then some devotees came and he said, Prabhu, where was Krishna? What's this? It is just Prajalpa. And Prabhu says, you are fool. I was always talking about Krishna because I'm trying to connect science with God, and I was developing a theme there, but you can't understand. What can I do? That it happens like that. So what do you do in such cases? Like how do you define what is gossip and what is not gossip? That's the question. How do you define? Because if you don't know the definition, then you will yourself fall into gossip. And that everybody is doing. You all are saying no Prajalpa, but you all are doing. 100%. And we are all doing. Sometimes we also do, and after some time, my God, what we are talking, it's nothing to do with Krishna consciousness. Why I am talking this? And then you realize, and then
Krishna is not pleased.
Can you tell something objective, which we can see and which we can measure? You want to tell some?
If your talking makes you more attracted to Krishna, then it's not Prajalpa.
Okay, can you refine it?
Like if you have a conversation with a devotee and you feel more attraction for chanting and reading and Krishna, then that means it's not Prajalpa.
But the other person, you're right. If it inspires, attracts to Krishna, that's one thing. Yeah, that's one answer. That's a good answer. Any other answer? Okay, simple answer. You can understand whether you're doing Prajalpa or not by chanting. That's all. If you're doing Prajalpa, when you chant, your mind will not be focused on chanting, 100%. You'll be thinking something else. 100%. What's happening? Why this girl is there? You should go. Just be on the side. This girl. Anyway, she doesn't understand. You control her. So, you'll see the point? When you chant, if those things are coming in your mind, this means you are doing Prajalpa, even if it was appearing as Krishna conscious talk. Doesn't happen like that. Because what is Prajalpa? Prajalpa are those talks which are directed to you and not to Krishna. It's a selfishness. So sometimes you can talk about Krishna Katha in the mood, in the attitude. You see, attitude matters. It's not what you talk. Basically, attitude matters. Sometimes Prabhupada was meeting so many people, and it's recorded in Leelamrit. So Prabhupada met a cricketer, and Prabhupada was talking half an hour about cricket or lawn tennis, something, I don't know, some game was there. And disciples were saying, what's happening? Prabhupada was asking which ball is good quality and what are the, and cricketers, and Prabhupada was enjoying with him, and Prabhupada was talking. And then after half an hour, then Prabhupada started speaking Krishna consciousness, whatever. But was this gossip? Was Prabhupada doing gossip? No, it's an attitude. Just like Rasraj Prabhu, he was giving science lecture. That was not gossip because the attitude, the goal was something else. You see the point? So then how do you define gossip? You have to bring attitude in the picture. You can't just judge by what he's talking. You can't judge. Like for example, management meetings, if you go, you see it's simply not connected sometimes with Krishna. He's talking, that devotee is nonsense, he's doing wrong, this is doing wrong, always money and this and that. You can't really pinpoint Krishna there. There is a problem there. Sometimes people are talking about Krishna also, but it's all Prajalpa. It's all Prajalpa. Because they are talking as if they are important. So, how do you define Prajalpa? Prajalpa is defined how any talk that is selfish, that is Prajalpa. And if the talk is selfish, what happens is when you're talking, you're remembering yourself. Because it's selfish, it's directed to you. And then when you chant, those talks will come in your mind. That's how we know we did Prajalpa. Just did Prajalpa. That is why if you're not doing Prajalpa, your chanting will be not distracted, that's all. It will not come in your mind because everything was directed to Krishna. So that whole attitude has to be there. You can check Vacho Vegam by chanting. That's how you check Vacho Vegam. Just sit now. Just give me now. Give me. Okay, sit. I don't want to. Abhi to main keh raha hu, you have to control. And I'm getting what? Don't sit now. I'm talking very serious stuff here. You will listen again, then you'll come to know. Probably, I don't know, maybe you realize this after 3 years, 4 years, what I'm talking. But you will have to come to this point, what I'm talking, someday or other, I don't know when. But you see the Prajalpa, how it goes. It is you can check by chanting. If you're chanting and if suppose while chanting management issues are there in your mind. He said something, this means you are doing some kind of Prajalpa there. Although you might be thinking it's necessary, it was necessary, but the whole attitude which you were discussing, that was selfish, that was directed to yourself. I am important, I am saying this, that's why it got to be done. That's not how real management goes. Real management goes, it has to be done because this is right. It's not about me, it's not about you. It's about right and it's about the welfare and the benefit of everybody. You see, if when that consciousness is done, it's not Prajalpa. Otherwise, it's Prajalpa. So that's chanting. That's why chanting is a main thing. But chanting is a thermometer. Yeah, and that's why, in Hillsborough, they were asking this question. Actually, previously, so I addressed that. They were asking Prabhu, this same question. When we chant, all these issues keep on going, and this devotee said me this devotee, I said him to like this, and it keeps on going in the head. So what's the problem? And this is the problem. And that's why, what Prabhupada said a statement, that you try your best and then depend on God. You have heard this? Try your best and then depend on God. But what that means? Now we might be thinking, okay, we depend on God. Yeah, we depend on God. Yeah, of course, there's no doubt in that. Is there any doubt? Do you depend on Krishna?
Yes.
Or not? Yes. Everybody will say yes. But I can prove no. I can do that actually, and you can now also do yourself. You can know whether you depend on God or not. A person may be like full time, but he might not be dependent on God. It's not necessary. And how you can check? You can check by chanting. If you chant and if your thoughts are coming of so many things, it means you're not depending on God. You know why? Because there are serious problems around us. I don't deny that. Management issues, devotee issues, financial problems, there are serious problems, and that's no questionable. But the point is, when a devotee chants, what happens? When he chants, he knows he's in presence of Supreme. So just like a child has so many problems, but when he is in the lap of the mother, he's okay. Because he knows that my mother will solve everything. There are problems, but my mother is there. She'll solve everything. Because for the child, you are God. He is full, she or she. So when you are in the lap of God, that is chanting means you're in the lap of God. You have to realize that. When you are with infinity, He is infinite. He is omniscient, omnipotent. He can do anything. When you're chanting, you're with Him. And then you are totally peaceful. I don't have to worry. Even if there's problem, Krishna will find a solution and He will do everything. But the fact we don't realize we are with God, that's why mind keeps on thinking some solution. That's why mind is thinking, no. ये हुआ, फिर वो होगा, फिर हम ये करेंगे, now this will happen, because you are not in presence of God. And you're not peaceful. You're not in the lap of your Almighty Father. So what happens there? Nothing. So you're not depending on God. actually. You're not depending on God. You're depending on yourself to solve things. So while chanting, that's while chanting. But when you finish chanting, when you come in practical grounds, then you have to do your duty. You see? It's not that when you finish chanting and then you are here, okay fine, now only Krishna will do. That's nonsense. That's how it goes, I mean to say. So there's a distinction. That's a Prabhupada said, try your best and then depend on God. So if you think it seems contradictory, try your best and depend on God. If you depend on God, then why should I try? I depend. But if I try my best, then there's no dependence. You see, that's the problem. That was a problem of Gita, by the way. That's where Gita starts, this problem. Krishna says, you fight. Arjuna says, I'm dependent on you. Why should I fight? You fight on my behalf. I'm totally dependent. I surrender. Krishna says, no, try your best. Then that's why Arjuna's confusion. That's why 3rd chapter Arjuna asks question, what should I do, bhai? What, I should fight or not fight? Then Krishna says something. Then 5th chapter he again asks, I should fight or not fight? This is a confusion that I should try or I should depend. Krishna says, you're a fool. You're a foolish person. You depend on me means you should have full conviction in me that problems, I will solve the problems. I am there with you, but you have to try your best. So how it practically goes, when you are chanting, then full dependence, then you don't have any problems here with God. He'll solve. The mind stops. Mind ceases to function. Just the child in the lap of mother. His mind is off, and as soon as you leave him, his mind starts working. And then he's naughty and doing so many things. Now, see, nothing. He's blank. He's blank. His mind is off. Because he's peaceful. I am with my mother. My sole protector and omniscient, omnipotent. For him, you are omniscient, omnipotent, omnipresent, everything. That's how child thinks, by the way. Child thinks like that. My daddy is the greatest person ever in the universe. But when he grows, then he understands, my God. They are fools here. What is this? My mother is, what is this? She's an ordinary female. It happens like that sometimes. Many times it happens like that. But for child, that's okay. So you see the point, that's how you understand whether you're doing prajalpa or not prajalpa. If you're doing prajalpa, this means there's a serious, by chanting you can know whether you're depending on God or not depending on God. You can know just by chanting. And that's why Prabhupada says holy name chanting is a central thing. It's not the point of completion. It's chanting, it's not, we are not here to complete. Chanting will show you where you are. That's what we are doing. It's a system to introspect. It's a way to introspect yourself. Where am I and what should I do now, next? That's one important function of chanting. Besides, first is to please God, but then it also helps you to, that's why in chanting you go inside yourself. No, that's why it said chant peacefully, go inside yourself, and then chanting will show you the way and help. Cheto darpana? Now what's that? Yeah, but what's the meaning of Cheto darpana marjana? Holy name will go into your heart and clean your heart, hai na? Bas, okay? No, actually it's not that. That's just some English. What practically it means, you see the point? I'll chant and then go and clean his heart. No, practically it means the chanting will show you what are your limitations, what are your faults. It will show you if you want to see. And then you work on that. It will help you. It will help you. That's how it goes. That is a function of meditation and chanting. And that's why, sometimes I feel people who do meditation, they're better than us. At least they understand the concept. That in meditation, what we are doing, we are going inside. People say no. And see inside yourself what are your faults. But in chanting, generally, we forget this point and we think, chanting, okay, Hare Krishna, khatam ho gaya. We forget the concept. We are in the process. Sometimes in the process, sometimes you are in the process and you forget the concept. But they have the concept, but they don't have the process. That's the problem there. वो process ही उड़ा हुआ है. So, but Chaitanya Mahaprabhu gave both. If we miss the concept, process is useless. It doesn't work. So you see the point. That's how when you chant, it helps you to go inside. And that's one. Do you see? This is the point, Jiva Vegam. It's very important. Vacho Vegam, sorry. That's how you understand whether you are controlling your urges or not. And then what's that? Manasa Vegam. And what do you mean by Manasa Vegam? Manasa Vegam means controlling the urges of mind. Controlling the urges of mind is okay. Lust, envy, anger, greed. That's fine. Controlling the urges of mind. Controlling the urges of mind doesn't necessarily mean you are stopping them. Controlling means you are engaging them into Krishna's service. Okay, let me ask you a quick question. How do you engage lust in service of Krishna? What do you do with that?
Deity decoration. Beautiful.
Oh, like that you want to connect
Senses.
beauty, yeah. Lust is connected with beauty and form. Okay, that's not a bad answer. You want to say?
I was hearing the other day,
Yeah.
I forgot that lust becomes transformed into love for Krishna.
That's okay. That's fine. But that transforms into love when you engage it. So my question is, how do you engage it? You have the point?
Just another question. Sorry to answer your question. What was your question?
My question is, how do you engage lust in service of God? Simple.
Basically, how can you engage yourself in Krishna's service?
No, how can you engage lust? It's a specific question. That's all.
Harmonizing your peace in all your relationships, resolve conflicts.
What's this question? What is his answer? No, you have to really think. Yeah, you have to think. Okay, Krishna 𝗂𝗃 𝗪𝗀𝗃. Narottam Das Thakur says, Prabhupada quotes in Chaitanya Charitamrita. How do you engage lust in God, service of Krishna? By doing something which requires energy. ये तो कहते हैं ना, उसको अपना passion कहीं निकाल दो. People say, he's a youth. Engage him into service and action. And then all his energy will be all diverted there. Then he will not think nonsense. Isn't it? Prabhupada said, no? For brahmacharis, they should be very busy, otherwise they simply think nonsense. Empty mind is devil's mind. So lust has a power there, which forces us to do something in this material world. Lust is like that. And the grossest form of lust is all this males, females, that. So, but it's a power which forces you towards matter. So what do? You engage your passion in service of Krishna. So how do you control lust is, you have to do something for Krishna which requires energy, which actually drains your energy. And then your lust is controlled. Now that's a very specific answer. If you don't do that, no chance. Impossible. That energy has to go somewhere. Somewhere it has to go. Either it goes to Krishna or it goes to somewhere else. So that's the answer. Drain your energy. That's why Prabhupada says, be busy. And Prabhupada said, when you sleep, the system is, as soon as you lie down, you should be blank. Blank out. That's the system of sleeping. And the morning you just open your eyes. Like nothing in between. Okay. This means by this you can understand whether you have engaged your lust in service of God or not. By this you can understand, otherwise you cannot understand. By this sleeping thing. Oh yeah, dream. But when you are very, very tired, nothing. You close your eyes, open your eyes, it's 4 o'clock. It's like that, no?
Yeah.
You're very tired.
Your Fitbit also does that.
Huh?
Fitbit also does deep sleep, that is disturbed sleep.
Fitbit is useless nonsense thing and throw this in. This watch is like, you should throw this in drain. It's actually completely crazy things Apple is producing, by the way. Because you know why? I tell you. Well, I'm just talking from a conceptual thing. I mean, it looks good. This watch goes to look. Prabhupada also got CS on that. That's okay. But the point is the apps which is taking out, it's complete nonsense. Like you run and then you know your BP and all this. It's crazy because why? Because God has given us a system within us to know how much to do, how much not to do. And that system is called feelings. You can know by your feeling how much to run. If you're becoming tired, don't run, that's all. If you're feeling fresh, run. You don't have to see that I have to, okay, one more round is left. And your saliva is coming, your sweat is coming, one more round is left, still I didn't finish, and you'll go crazy. So that's not the system. People will become sick by that. Ayurveda says, that's why Ayurveda doesn't mention any kind of machine, any kind of time. It never mentions time. If you see Ayurveda, how much exercise to do, it's not mentioned. How much to eat, it's not mentioned. How much to sleep, it's not mentioned. And I was wondering why they don't mention. Because they say that you go by your feeling. That's all. How much to exercise? If you feel fresh, that's okay. If you're feeling tired, stop it. If in 5 minutes you feel tired, stop. If in half an hour you don't feel tired, go on. That's all we have to do. So these devices are, I don't like them. They'll make people sick. Like that. Anyway, what I was saying. Oh, really?
Drain your energy.
Yes. So sleep. That's how. That's how you know whether you are controlling lust or not. That's how you know. By the way, everything has to be objectified. No, otherwise it's not science. We're talking about science. So otherwise, if you don't objectify anything, then you will keep on going like that. Belief, faith, healing. I am advancing. Only you know and Krishna knows you are advancing. Even you don't know you are advancing or not. Only Krishna knows. And what's happening, nobody understands anything. So that's how you know. Okay. And then is Krodha Vegam. How do you control the urges of anger? What do you do? How do you control the urge of anger? Rupa Goswami separately written Krodha Vegam, by the way. It could have been included in Mansa Vegam. The lust, envy, anger, greed, it's all in mind, but Rupa Goswami writes separately. Control your anger. Now, one question is, why does he mention separately? This is Nectar. He's trying to compress everything. Like he's compressed 18,000 verses of Bhagavatam into 11 verses, and he doesn't even want to waste a blank space and a comma and a full stop, and nevertheless he writes Krodha Vegam. Why? Why does he separate all desires in mind and Krodha separately? It's a good question, no? Why? So why?
General medicine and dentistry.
How? What?
It's like general medicine and dentistry. It's so important.
Yeah, so why? What's so important? Why this Krodha? A mind has lust, anger, envy, greed, bewilderment, and he separates Krodha. Why?
In anger mode, we make a lot of offenses mistakes.
It's a-
Mind gets lost.
Okay, that's one. Mm-hmm.
It's a byproduct
Of what?
unsatisfied listening.
So he should have, actually, ideally he should have separated lust, That's one of the main things. Kama. But he doesn't do that. He separates Krodha there. There has to be something special in Krodha. So he separates and he specifically warns. You see, if you separate something and spare, then that means you're specifically warning that thing. Just like we say to children, don't do this, don't do this, don't do this, don't do this. And then we say, you should never do this at least. This thing you're not allowed.
Krodha destroys intelligence, leads to madness and delusion.
Yeah, that's a general answer. Yeah, lust also does that. What's the difference? Both of them.
It's more dangerous than anything else.
Huh?
Krodha is most dangerous.
Why? That's my question.
Because somebody makes a mistake in Krodha, you would end up in prison or something like that,
Oh, really? By lust also you can end up in prison?
Not so much.
Why? If somebody rapes, what happens? He goes into prison.
It's not rape, but still you can be, let's say,
And Krodha also, every time you're not in prison, you are shouting. Somebody shouting. It doesn't always end in prison. No. Doesn't happen.
Because if Krodha focuses on you, like you want your desires to be
Lust also.
Krodha might be very hard to control than other because forced quite.
Well, I think lust is very difficult to control. Once it goes into your head, nobody can stop it. It's in your head. So always enviousness. Enviousness is very difficult to control. Even if you understand you are envious, you might understand everything. I am envious. You're convinced, but still you will not be able to stop it. 100%. Anger is special. Okay, keep this question. I'll deal at the end of the seminar. Write it. And you keep on thinking. Yeah, that's why. So I want you to keep this question in your subconscious mind, and then you will write it and make me remember. I'll tell you. Write down this question and ask me. Write it and ask me. Don't forget. Okay. How do you control the urge of greed? What do you do with that? Lust we understood. Huh? Drain your energy. Greed. Okay, good. Sadhu, lobh, sadhu sange, hari katha. Be greedy for the association of devotees and hari katha. Okay. So, how do you know that you are greedy for hari katha and association? How do you know that? Somebody is saying, I'm greedy.
Like to go for.
Okay, one thing. Just like you have come to program, you're coming, you're liking to hear. Okay, that's one thing. Okay, that's okay, fine, you know. Now, if you want to increase that greed for hearing and chant and Hari Katha and association, how do you know whether your greed is increasing or not?
Never satisfied.
You said no.
Never satisfied about.
No, so what's the practical thing? How do you know?
We can sit down.
I mean to say, suppose you are doing a six days of program. Okay, now more than that you cannot do. So then how do you know whether my greed is increasing or not? Because your time is limited. Now it's finished. Now you can't know. So then still you have to know. Otherwise your greed is like at the same point. It's just stopped. How do you know?
You check your priorities, whether you give priority.
Okay, this is one thing. You start giving priorities to sadhu sang. Yeah. So priorities. Okay, fine. Let me ask you a question. If you're in a forest and there's no devotees, nothing, how do you know that you're greedy for? Then how do you measure your greed?
We have time, we can chant there.
Yeah. वो तो चलो खाली बैठे फॉरेस्ट में. There is a way to know. Wherever you are on this planet, whether you are alone, whether you are with devotees, whether you are not with devotees, whatever, there is a way to know whether you have real greed or it is just developing. It's a shadow of greed or it is real greed. That's what I'm talking. Now we have some shadow of greed, isn't it? But do we have real greed? Real greed in the sense, just like Prabhupada gives example, just like a boy has for a girl or a girl has for a boy. That kind of greed, I want to meet her. So how do you know that?
More chanting. You feel like chanting
Something reminding.
I need a definite answer, like I'm looking for that. More chanting. Sometimes you chant more also, sometimes you don't chant more. Objective. No subjective answer.
A background thread keeps running always, reminding Krishna to do something.
Okay, yeah, okay, fine. So how do you know that? That's what I'm asking.
To relate everything with Krishna.
No theoretical answers.
You can't able to focus on anything.
No.
On the personal.
Come on, we can focus on. The idea is, how do you know you have greed for Krishna and association? Just you can know what do you do in your free time. There's no other way. There's no other way. That's all. There's no other way.
WhatsApp, Facebook.
Huh? See. So, and that happens, and they are full-time devotees in ISKCON. Like what do you expect from them? 24 hours they're in the temple. So, they are definitely greedy for Krishna, but no. Because we don't see what they are doing 24 hours, we see what they do in free time. Free time, what you do, this means your mind is running towards that thing. And it's finding a time to do that thing. Mind is always thinking, when I get time, I'll do that. As soon as this program finishes and nice kirtans will happen, I'll go in room and check my Facebook. So your mind wants that actually. Your mind doesn't really want this in one sense. In relative sense, of course, you want kirtans also, but the lingering desire is there, That's what happens in boyfriend, girlfriend, Boyfriend is thinking, as soon as my class finishes, everything finishes, I'll just call her. So because he is desiring her. So that's how you check. There's no system to check. Otherwise you can be 24 hours busy, but you can be in illusion, I am greedy for God. You can simply be in illusion. You can simply check by a free time. A small free time you get, maybe 2 minutes, and what you do in that 2 minutes, that decides whether you are really greedy or not. That's all. If you are attending programs and nice and that and doing meditation, and then you get free, and then you get a break 1 hour, suppose, and then you get in a room. Now it's time to rest. Okay, unless you are not tired. If you are physically tired, that's one thing. But okay, now we'll rest. Now okay, fine, and I'll do something else. This means you don't have real greed. If you have a greed for Krishna, then as soon as you get free time, you will be thinking, as soon as I get free time, I'll chant. I want some space, I want some time. And as time, okay, I'll chant. I'll read something about Krishna. The management is going on, things are going on. As soon as I get, so I'll get half an hour in the evening, and that I'm waiting for that time, I'll open Krishna book and read about Krishna. Then you know that's greed. Otherwise you cannot know. You can be an illusion. And that's why so many devotees fall down. They are there full time, everything is going on. If people know about what's happening and what can happen. So we can't fool ourselves, no? So that's how we understand. So, you got the point? Everything has to be objective, otherwise we don't understand what is going on with us. So that's about greed. Greed, that comes in Mansa Vegam. Lust, anger, yeah. Okay, Jiva Vegam. What's the meaning of Jiva Vegam? Yeah, here eating. Eating I told, isn't it? That's already mentioned. Udrapatsa Vegam, stomach, hunger, thirst, and genitals. Genitals, okay, I mean to say that's by procreation and not recreation. We all understand. To have good progeny. Krishna conscious. And then Krishna says, now the important one. Now this Vega concept is clear, okay, fine. It's not vague now. It's clear. Now we know actually how to do and what to do and how to check. That's more important, isn't it? You see the point. Why doctor is important than patient? Why patient goes to doctor? Why? Yeah, because to check up. We say check up. No. Otherwise patient can feel what is happening with him better than the doctor. Doctor doesn't need to feel now. If patient says, I feel this, well, you know what, I know you feel much better than me, but I have to check you up by symptoms. And that's why when Rupa Goswami says, Krodha Vacho Vegam, that's why we have to translate into diagnosis. How do you diagnose you're controlling these urges? Otherwise, what's the point of reading this verse? Or it is just wasting time. Okay. Etan yog vegan yovishate dhira. So vegan word is over. Okay. So now you control this like this. I have to check now. But Rupa Goswami says anybody who controls this Vega, he becomes dhira. Or a dhira person can control all these things. It goes both ways around. What do you mean by dhira? This word comes in Bhagavad Gita also. Dhira. Tira satrana muyati dehinosmine tha dehe pamarami avanam jara tata dehantar paptir satrana muyati. Simple. So dhira. So what do you mean by dhira? What's that?
Sober person.
Sober.
Mature.
Mature.
Utilized.
Controlled.
Controlled is a good word. Other words are vague.
Patience.
Huh?
Patience.
Patient. Prabhupada says undisturbed also, but then okay, fine. Yeah, that's one meaning, undisturbed. Okay. Actually, dhira, if you see Sanskrit dictionary, dhira has a specific meaning, by the way. So there's one Sanskrit dictionary. Can you name Sanskrit dictionary? Anyone? Nirukti. Amarkosh, yeah. Nirukti, these are Sanskrit dictionaries. Any famous other Sanskrit dictionary? Monia William? Oh, I'm saying as if it's very normal, but it's not normal. I don't know. Okay, that's Monia William. Everybody knows. First, you have to speak because it's a very big. I mean, it's a lexicon. So yeah. So if you see Amarkosh, if you see fourth Varga, it's divided into chapters, and the fourth chapter is called as Dhi Varga, talking about Dhi, the word Dhi. And the word Dhi, they have given around 70 meanings. You read that? It's not a small word, Dhira. And that is why it is difficult to become Dhira, because it has 70 meanings. All those meanings should be in your life. Those meanings should be in your life. Those meanings should resonate with the meaning of your life, and then you become Dhira. It's not easy. Huh? Dhira. So what's the meaning of Dhira? I'm not going to tell you 70 meanings, definitely. But what I'm going to tell you is, Dhira, Dhi means, what is the literal translation? What is the literal meaning of Dhi? Dhi, what is Dhi? Now we divide Dhira into two parts, Dhi and plus Ra. Okay. Ra I'll deal later. So what is Dhi? What's the meaning of Dhi? Simple, that's simple, come on. No. What's the main meaning of Dhi? No, come on. It's a Hindi. Hindi वाले जानते हैं. Dhi. What's the meaning of dhi? झुकना? नहीं. रुकना? नहीं. Come on. It's simple. Intellect. Intelligence. Dhi is always to do with intelligence. Dhimahi. Yeah. So dhi means intelligence, by the way. So, one meaning of dhira is, dhi means intelligence and ra means, okay, anyway, intelligence, dhi means intelligence. Intelligence is to do with knowledge, isn't it? So, dhi means knowledge also. And what is the meaning of ra? Ra means, what's the meaning of ra? Can anybody tell me? By the way. No, okay, forget Sanskrit. What's the meaning of Ra in Greek? Come on, if you see movies, you should know. They might know. But they use in modern movies, Avengers and in old movies. What's that, Mataji? No, Ra is sun god. Prabhupada mentions in his books, Ra is sun god. Egyptians were called as Ra. Sun god, or means bright, who is bright. So, Dhira means, Sanskrit Ra means pleasure. Pleasure. What's he doing? Something has to be done with him because everybody gets distracted. But you know what you can do? You can sit there in the gallery. Otherwise, he'll just mess up things. You can sit there, yeah. You can sit here. That's okay. And he can play and whatever. No problem. I get distracted. Maybe my focus is less. I don't know. Sometimes I can keep on speaking by closing my eyes and you don't worry about anybody and finish your lecture and go. That's also a system sometimes you have to do. In public you have to do. In Hindu temples, they call you It's like tongue, everything is going. So you go, close your eyes, speak your lecture, come back. Otherwise you can't speak. You might be knowing it, you have spoken there. So Ra means pleasure, Dhi means knowledge. Dhira means who takes pleasure in knowledge. That's one understanding. Who takes pleasure in, that's by the way meaning given by Madhvacharya. According to Sanskrit. Dhira means who takes pleasure in knowledge. And that's why Rupa Goswami says, anybody who can control these urges? Only a dhira, only a sober person. Only a person who has knowledge of both theory and practical. Just like I'm talking about some practical objective symptoms. Only he can control because he knows how to diagnose. And he knows how to control. He knows the medicine, he knows the diagnosis. Ho gaya bas. That's one meaning of dhira and the most relevant meaning. That is why if you want to control your senses or urges, you have to have knowledge. You see the point, how it goes? If you don't have knowledge, it will not be possible. It is not, if you want to stop of the flow of a river, how do you do that? By strength, by dam. But then what's a dam? Dam is
Arresting something.
Yeah, but dam is strength or knowledge? Actually that's knowledge, because by strength you can't stop. That's knowledge. It's constructed in a particular fashion that it stops the flow of water. It's thick at base and then thin, and then there is a dimension, how much it should go. Otherwise you can't stop. Otherwise you make something and water will break. The whole structure. You can't stop water, the flow of water. So dam, there's a knowledge. So, क्या कहते हैं बुद्धि बढ़िया भैंस बड़ी हो हिंदी में. I don't know how to speak in English. Is there any parallel synonym? बुद्धि बढ़िया भैंस बड़ी. Wisdom is greater than effort, something like that. Real strength is in knowledge. That's why you should have knowledge. Otherwise, senses you can't control. By strength you can't control. You will never be able to fight with that. You will never be able to fight with mind. It's impossible. Because mind is like God. Krishna says in Gita, I am mind of all senses. If you have read, of all senses I am mind. Then how can you fight with mind? How can you suppress it? It's impossible. So, but there's one way you can stop him or you can regulate him through knowledge of Krishna. You can do that. So that's why you need knowledge. That's why they say dhira. Dhi also means, one is meaning intellect, another meaning of dhi is memory, by the way. There are three main meanings of dhi. Intellect, memory and determination. There's one word in Gita, it is used pragya. You have seen that? Pragya?
Yeah.
Pragya you have heard?
Yeah.
Which is that verse?
Oh, I think
Pragyavadam shabhashase. So what's that pragya? That yeah. Pragya is same as dhi. Pragya has three things. Memory, intellect and determination. Pragyavadam sabhashase. A person who has memory, intellect and determination, he is able to see reality. Intelligence to understand the difference between illusion and Krishna. Intelligence to understand the objective symptoms and the real path of devotion. And memory. Why do we need memory? Memory for what? Memory for remembering our faults and our mistakes so that we don't repeat it. And determination. In spite of all obstacles. He is dhira. This is not an easy word. Only he can control his senses. Who has knowledge, who remembers what mistakes he has done and he'll never repeat it. And third is who has determination, who keeps on going in spite of all obstacles. He is dhira. And then you can control your senses. It seems difficult, isn't it? All these things. But it's not difficult. If you have practiced, it's not difficult. For a child, it might seem difficult. Okay, how does they do some things? But for adult, it's easy. So it repeats repetition and practice. Repetition. Abhyasena tu konte vairagena cha Dushkritam, Krishna says it's difficult, Dushkritam, but then Krishna says Abhyasena. You practice it becomes very easy. No problem. Sarma apimam prithvim sashishyat. That's what Krishna says. Whole world, prithvim sashishyat. Entire earth you can make your disciple. If you are dhira, if you are controlled. Now this is a very important line. Why does Rupa Goswami says you can make everybody as your disciple? If you are dhira. Is qualified to make disciples all over the world. Why does Rupa Goswami say this?
By doing this, you become a role model. People will start following you, and that means.
Okay, that's one thing.
You have to give Krishna consciousness to whole world.
So you see the point? Do you see the point? The qualification to preach. That's the point. Qualification to preach is not knowledge. It's not seniority. It's nothing to. Qualification to preach is control over your senses. Otherwise you will fail. You will fail utterly. That's all. And that's why, that's why so many courses happen. That's good. But those courses are insufficient in one way that we have knowledge, but then those courses have to give some practical training how to control senses, because that's one of the main component. That's a preacher. Otherwise you can't preach. So that needs preparation. That needs to actually keep a check on your life. Simply giving lectures will not work. It doesn't work. Simply. It's important, but with that is the main thing. Control on senses. Purity. Purity is force. Prabhupada said, that's all. So otherwise you can't preach because of some practical reasons also. Because if you don't have control on your mind and senses, and if you start preaching, there will be so many people and there will be problems. Where there are people, there are problems. There will be conflicts, there will be management, this, and you will get bonkers. Your fuse will go. So Prabhupada says qualified to make disciples all over the world. All over the world, if you start preaching, definitely go mad. There will be so many problems. So many. Prabhupada was facing so many problems. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was facing, I'll tell you. People started speaking about Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Nityananda Prabhu and Advaita Acharya. They were speaking, if you read book. So they were speaking. Some people were saying, then Nityananda Prabhu started his own movement. He started his own movement in Bengal. And he's not following instructions of Mahaprabhu. It was happening that time also. There was conflict there. And it was a big thing, and then it came to Mahaprabhu, and Mahaprabhu knew, it's okay. And there are conflicts all over, and even in Golok there are conflicts.
Really?
Yeah. Why? You don't know, like Madhu Mangal cursed Radha, Radha cursed Madhu Mangal, and then they had to come here. That's what happened there, no? At past time. They got mad at each other. And Krishna couldn't solve that. He was trying to solve, but he didn't solve. But of course, we know spiritual world. Anyway, everything is plan of Krishna. But at the same time, something happened, There are conflicts going on, and there are some bad consequences of those conflicts. So it keeps on going. So that's why he says he's qualified to make disciples all over the world. Because all over the world, if you have to make disciples, you expect conflicts, you expect management, and for that your mind should be super controlled. Otherwise, when you chant, you will not be chanting, you will not be doing anything, you will fall down. That's why Rupa Goswami says, Sarvam apimam prithvim sashishyat. It's for a very practical reason. Also, very practical reason. It's not just for personal thing. It's just not for that. So that's how this verse goes. That's why in scriptures it is said the king should know how to control his mind. First thing. And he'll go mad. If he goes mad, he'll make everybody mad.
Would it be right to say that some of the temple presidents who don't have enough time for chanting and reading because they are so engrossed in building construction and stuff like that, they have more chances to fall down?
There are more chances? Of course. There are more chances to fall. Yeah, you can go. That's fine. If somebody is temple president, if somebody is manager, if he is in a leader position, if he is not finding time to chant and read, he'll fall down. Nobody can save him. It's going to go. Temple president or Bhakti Vikasa leader? Any leader position, if you are, you will have to give your time to others. Well, that's a duty. And there will be conflict. If somebody says there's no conflict, there's a problem. Somebody says nobody is fighting in my group, everybody is loving me. Yeah, there's a problem with you. It can never happen. It can never happen.
Why it can never happen?
Because we are all humans. Humans have different ideas. Different ideas means conflict.
Or is Krishna creates?
No, it's normal. Even wife, husband fight. They love each other so much, but they fight, no? Then what happens with that? So they don't have love? They have love, but they fight because difference of opinion. There will always be difference of opinion. Even Vishnu and Krishna was fighting, forget it. They have difference of opinion. Vishnu is Krishna himself. But they are fighting together. It happened, they were fighting.
Can you tell us a leela, Prabhuji, where Vishnu and Krishna fighting?
Oh really, you want to hear pastime? Yeah, I'll tell you. In next session I'll tell you. Just after lunch. But it's like that, so you have to have control on mind, otherwise you go mad. You see the point? So we should not get disturbed by conflicts. You get disturbed by those things which you don't expect. But the first rule of management, you know what's the first rule of management? Anybody can tell me? You're all managers in some sense. What's the first rule of management?
All managers are here.
So that's what I'm asking. What's the first rule of management? Of leadership? What's the first rule? What's that? That has to be there in your mind. If that's not there, you will definitely get disturbed. There are at least two rules. The first rule of management is anything can happen and at any time. Bas. Somebody can kill somebody can do anything, anything can happen at any time. And the second rule is nobody is under control. Bas. And then you make your policies. If you think everything is under control and then you make policies, your policies are going to fail. Nobody is under control. Nobody will listen to you. And then you make policies. You have done management. That's how good managers work. They think on those lines. Otherwise, your management is failure. So that's how do you do that? You have to have control on mind. That's how it goes. I'm just ending this now. Mataji, I'm just ending this session. Just 15 minutes. Finished. Yeah, I'm just ending, and you can have lunch and then you just sit just 1 minute.
That's fine.
And then I'm just ending, and you can have prasad. And then next session we'll do. Anybody wants to leave, no problem. I think it's too much for you all. Now I have to end here. So you see the point like that. So what I was saying, Prithvim Sashishyat. It's a very important line. And what's our goal? What's our goal? Prithvite Ache Jat Nagar Adigram Sarvatra Prachar Hoye Pe Mora. That's Mahaprabhu's mission. That's our mission. We have to preach all over the world. We don't have to preach in Charlotte. You're wrong. If you're thinking you're wrong, you'll never be able to do anything. Our dream is to preach all over the world. We might start with Charlotte, that's okay. But for doing that, you have to prepare yourself so that Krishna uses you. Otherwise, you will be simply dreaming. He will not use you. You are not prepared. He knows you will go mad. Why should I use this devotee? So for that you have to become dhira and controlled, self-controlled. Then Krishna will decide, okay, this person is qualified to preach all over the world because he is dhira. He has controlled his senses. And now I will use him to preach all over the world. That's how important this verse is. So I think I'll stop there. And we'll have a break. Till what time? Till what time we have a break?
2 o'clock.
Okay, I think
40 minutes break. Jiva control.
Real Jiva control is we'll not give prasadam now. That's a real thing, but no problem.
One question. I don't know if I missed that.
Just a minute. Okay, fine. Yeah.
Why Krodha
Hare
is
Krishna.
separate